Good evening. Welcome to the Factually
It's the
Opinionated
afternoon.
Podcast. It's afternoon, whatever. Welcome to the Factually Opinionated Podcast. I am Temper Tamber.
I'm Nolanova.
Oh god.
And I'm Leonard French.
I didn't realize that I had Twitch on volume loud and I just had my own words blasted in my ears.
This is a wonderful start to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, anyway,
very
I'm
professional.
joined here.
Talk like that when you're echoing back.
Anyway, I am joined by my co-host, Nolanova, and today we have a very special guest. He has a degree in proving you wrong. He is the internet's favorite copyright lawyer, Leonard French.
Your favorite video game attorney, Leonard French.
Ethically incapable of not giving you my best advice.
How are you doing today, Mr. French?
I'm doing pretty good. I had a very busy week, and I'm very happy that I'm no longer busy. And today's a nice day to relax and chat with you guys about my favorite subject, copyright law.
Yes.
Well, thank you for joining us. I know it was one of those things where I told Temper one day, I was like, you know who we should have on the podcast? Leonard French. He's like, you know Leonard French? I'm like, yeah. Do you know Leonard French?
This has started happening in my life too, and it's a little weird. I call it my mild internet celebrity.
So would you count yourself as like an E-list or D-list celebrity?
Z-list, yeah. Can we have like a double aught list or whatever, or something? I'm definitely. It's a unique thing that nobody's done law, or at least not many people are doing this kind of like law explainer, educational kind of thing, and I like science and physics, and so Bill Nye and Neil deGrasse Tyson and all that, like those are kind of people to aspire to, kind of idols. But I'm not a scientist, so I can't do that. I do electrical stuff, but there's so many people out there who are so much better at electrical stuff than I am. But the law, nobody was really doing this stuff with the law, and I think I just stepped in it with one of my first videos on the Fine Brothers React trademark thing, and got a whole bunch of views, and I was addicted. I had to keep going. I had to keep doing it.
If you like those two, I'm assuming that you watch Brave Wilderness as well.
I have not seen Brave Wilderness.
Ooh,
I love this though. I'm always discovering new content, and then I can go and.
Coyote Pearson, he's incredible. He is the newest generation of Steve Irwin, and he's incredible. He's the guy that's been getting he's the guy that's been getting stung by everything.
Okay.
He got stung by the bullet ant and all that. Like most of his videos aren't that at all.
I definitely have seen his stuff then. The bullet ant one especially. I saw a recent one of somebody, so it must have been him.
Yeah, no. Most of his content is actually like actually educational about each and every type of species that he like works with and whatnot. It's really cool. I've been getting into it a lot in the past month or so, and he's got a lot of content out.
Excellent, excellent. It's a new world. It's awesome, all these opportunities.
Exactly. But I say we get right on into the main topic that we wanted to talk about today, which is Take-Two Interactive trying to take down the modding community in GTA, and Rockstar really not being happy about it either.
And thank you, Weasel. Sorry, real quick. Thank you, Weasel Abby. There you go, Leonard. For the cutest baby sloth ever video from Brave Wilderness. But so I just want to say real quick before we start. Welcome to Overdrive Gamma. Welcome to Weasel Abby. Thank you for joining the stream. Thank you guys for tuning in. And sorry. So do you want to take the GTA mod thing, or do you want me to take it? Do you want?
I can take it. I've been keeping up with it a lot.
Are you sure?
Yes, I got this. As long as I don't have my own words blasting in my ear anymore, I think
your own words blasting in your ear anymore. I'm just gonna keep repeating what you say so you get distracted.
Anyway, so Take-Two Interactive is the publisher for Rockstar games. Like it's who they are under, and they have issued a cease and desist letter to Open4, which is a modding tool for GTA that only affects single player, by the way. That one only affects single player, and they put in a cease and desist letter, and Open4 has completely shut down. Absolutely and utterly shut down. And there's a new update to this story in that and this is from a Kotaku article that recently just got posted yesterday. Take-Two shuts down another paid GTA Online cheating tool and forces the creators to donate to charity. So, Take-Two Interactive shut down a popular modding tool known as I just had it and it went away for one. I know what the name of it is. Give me 1 second. Force Hacks.
Okay.
Force Hacks is a paid modding / hacking software developer and whatnot. And they had in a quote, after discussions with Take-Two Interactive, effective immediately, we are ceasing all maintenance, development, and distribution of Force Hacks cheat menu services. We will be donating our proceeds to charity, and we apologize for any and all problems Force Hacks services have caused the GTA Online community. And there's also an update to this story that there are 2 more mod menus that have been shut down since yesterday. Apparently, Lexicon and Menu Tools have also both posted statements that the websites are closing down due to these cease and desist letters.
Wow.
So
it seems like they sent it to everybody.
Pretty much.
So the biggest thing with this, I think more than anything, so Open4 being the big, basically the tool that allows you to access the game files and change them and create your own and all those sorts of things. The biggest thing I think with that, besides the fact that it was only single player effective and they seem to use this excuse that it was online, causing online issues, is the way that the cease and desist that they wrote, and maybe it's just the writing, and Leonard, maybe you can speak speak more to this, but that they said the open in the cease and desist letter that they got on June 5th. This is coming straight from open4.com. It clearly says that with Open4, we, quote, allow third parties to defeat security features of its software and modify that software in violation of Take-Two's rights. And apparently, so basically the idea is that Take-Two has declared modding of their games illegal.
Okay.
They have stepped up and they have made an official statement on the matter that if you mod our games, it's illegal. And that's coming off of the heels of years of major mod communities for the GTA games.
Yeah, I want to say GTA 5 is 8, 9 some years old.
It's 7.
It came out in 2013 originally, so 4 years.
2013, so it's 4 years.
2013. It's only 4 years?
Yeah, it's only 4 years. You're
Wasn't
thinking
it
GTA 4.
out for consoles first and then PC or something?
Yes, it came out in 2013. That's
okay, so it's not that old.
Yeah.
But the modding tool is 8 or 9 or 10 years old or something.
Yes, modding tool has been used since GTA 4. I think.
Yeah, I believe so. I think
so.
I remember using it for GTA 4. I think I actually still have the download in my on my computer.
I would think that with mature modding tools like that for that long, even for 4 years on GTA 5, but having existed for 8 or 9 or 10 years since GTA 4. Now I don't know if you know. I certainly don't know if Take-Two was Rockstar's distributor.
Yeah, it is their distributor. It's their publisher.
From GTA 4.
I believe they are. I could let me just take a look.
I'm gonna check that real fast.
Because the reason I ask is it's a little weird to make such a big change at this time, right? Like that's what everybody's upset about. Well, that's what I'm here to talk about. Is that's also a thing in the law. Is there are various legal doctrines or legal precedents in place for exactly this kind of thing. Some of them apply to copyright, some of them don't, and they all apply slightly differently. But if there was going to be a legal challenge, there are opportunities to make that challenge. So it's weird that everybody just rolled over and isn't going to fight in any way whatsoever.
So we have so just to put it in perspective, Rockstar has been under Take-Two since '98.
Okay.
So
they've been there since GTA.
So Take-Two knew about mod tools since at least shortly after Open4 was developed and released.
I mean, there's been modding communities even for like old GTA, like the top-down GTA.
Yeah.
And everything. There's been, it's been.
Do we know
forever.
of anything that's changed recently? Was there anything leading up to this before they just brought the hammer down?
It seemed
the biggest change.
I would say I think where the issue stems from is that there have been a lot. Well, GTA Online has a huge issue about hackers and whatnot, people that have aimbotting, people that are giving themselves like millions and millions of money or dollars of
Sure.
money in the game and whatnot, so they don't have to buy shark cards and all that. And instead of dealing with the hackers and whatnot, like, you know, on a case-to-case basis, they're just kind of throwing a blanket over it all, being like, you know, screw all of this, we're just going to knock it out entirely.
Okay.
Kind of thing. And so, in coming from someone who's played a lot of GTA, everyone that has played with has watched Vicinity knows that we've played a good amount of it. There is a big issue with hackers and whatnot. Like every open lobby that I go into, there's an issue.
Okay, so it's a big issue and it needs to be dealt with, and it's really the issue then is that they've done it in such a heavy-handed and
it's a big blanket kind
black
of
and white. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not doesn't really take cases into account, and it doesn't really look at open for and it's how it's single player only and how it et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Now I will
So
say
can I say something real fast, Temper?
I was about to say Force Hacks is online modded. It is it actually gets there. Open for shuts down as soon as you go online.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we actually there was actually a statement from Rockstar Games a couple days ago where they say Take-Two's actions were not specifically targeting single player mods. Unfortunately, Open4 enables recent malicious mods that allow harassment of players and interfere with the GTA Online experience for everybody. We are working to figure out how we can continue to support the creative community without negatively impacting our players. And I think, I mean, you brought up the point about hacking, Temper, but I again, Open4 not having anything to do with hacking, I feel like that is not where this is really coming from. I feel like what we're looking at is the modding. GTA Online has made Take-Two Interactive $700 million last year. It has been extremely profitable. They have made, I think, $3 billion on the game since its launch. Fourth highest selling game of all time, and there's been a lot of debate that this move was to curtail the single player experience and the expansion of the single player experience to push people towards online and their microtransactions with the shark cards. And there's been a lot of debate about that because again, no previous GTA game had this GTA Online. This is probably what's changed the most since the GTA modding community started.
Yeah.
Well, with numbers like that, the first thing I'm thinking of is I need to be a video game developer. Then again, that's how I got to be a lawyer. You know, hey, I'm not making enough money. I want to be a lawyer.
There you go.
That's gonna work out.
But yeah, it's so do you know what shark cards are, out of curiosity?
I am gonna guess that that's a real money for in-game cash card.
Yes. That's exactly what it is. And a lot of these hackers, I mean, I've gone into a lobby before and I was not asked for this to happen to me. It was completely unconsensual. Someone just gave me like $14 million out, and like a hacker just gave it to me, and I'm like, what just happened? And like stuff like that would happen. And note that like $3 million in-game currency is like, I think like $50 or something like that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so
you
like
suddenly have 14 million that was given to you by a hacker, and then what? The hacker turns around and reports you just for the lulz.
Well, not even, they don't report you. It's just the thing is that like they understand. Well, here's the thing: Rockstar, even if you report somebody, they're not going to do anything about it.
Oh, okay. So there's that. This sounds like they're doing this one legal move, but they haven't done a whole lot. What have they done to stop the hackers, like technologically speaking?
They've tried some patches. I mean, it's widely considered around the GTA community that Rockstar has not done enough to curtail the hacking. Okay. Every time they bring it up or they try to bring someone down, they do this move, and it's this legal move. Okay, that's great. They've shut down these paid programs, but 5 more will pop up. I mean, it's one of those things where these communities don't die just because of a cease and desist letter.
Yeah.
Well, I agree the communities don't die. The people are still there and they still wanted to do their have fun with their video games, whichever in this case GTA 5, and it doesn't mean that people just want to stop playing GTA 5. And
Hmm.
uh, so I get that. At the same time, obviously Rockstar and Take Two have, for getting the profit in the shark cards and online and all that, they do have some kind of right to prevent people from destroying the game through hacking and things like that, right?
Hmm.
And so it's, the question really becomes then, how far can they go? And legally speaking, I think they can go really far with anything that's really hurting the game, that's not a fair use, that's breaking technological protection measures. There's something in copyright law in the DMCA that's built in to the DMCA as a separate law, just for, you're not allowed to hack your phone, you're not allowed to hack your car.
Hmm.
Uh, if you have to break an electronic lock to get into it, which is really any kind of encryption or password authentication, then you've broken copyright law. And so a lot of
Okay.
these companies, rather their legal teams, will just look at this as an easy solution. You've broken a technological protection measure. I don't know if Open 4 does or not, but it sounds like some of them at least have to. And therefore, you've broken this one part of copyright law. And even though that's not the heart of copyright law, they sort of see it as part of the whole body of copyright law and just say, you're an infringer, we're taking you down. And I think
Okay.
that's what's happened here, is somebody at Take Two, a lawyer or an executive or maybe someone new, just decided that they were going to go a different direction with this and try to profit off mods differently or something. I don't know.
So let
Uh,
me ask you this first, or kind of to transition that. So mods, unfortunately, are, from what I've heard multiple times, a bit of a gray area. So let
Yeah.
me ask you, as a copyright law and a copyright law attorney, um, what what is the legality of mods? Are they legal? What, how do they fall in with copyright? What is your opinion on that?
Well, it falls under a couple different laws. Under copyright law, the very basically, the owner of the copyrighted work has the copyrights, the enumerated rights to prevent copying, to prevent distribution, to prevent alteration, etc. So mods usually fall under either distribution or alteration, or the thing we just talked about, that they have to circumvent some kind of technological protection measure or something like that. If you can skirt those things and make a mod that doesn't require breaking into the code in some, like breaking encryption, basically. We're not talking about the basic computer code. We're just talking about
mhm.
like if there's an extra technological protection measure, an electronic lock or encryption or something like that. If you have to
Okay.
break that, your mod is less likely to be legal. If your mod is paid for, it's less likely to be legal. If your mod usurps or overlaps with things that are paid for in the game, in other words, like if it's giving you access to a hidden mission that you wouldn't get unless you unlocked some DLC or something like that,
Mhm.
now the mod is taking over the game. It's
Okay.
the mod
Yeah.
is overlapping the actual original game, not adding something new onto it. When you're adding something new onto it, genuine modification of the game into something new, that starts to fall under copyright transformation. And when you create something new, there's a line where
It's
it's
a
no longer a
transformative work.
derivative work and
Yeah.
now it is a new copyrighted work. And it's protectable and it's a fair use. And they can't stop you. They can sue you, but they'll lose. And as long as you put up a defense, I'm going to keep adding all these stupid practical things in there because that's the way it actually works.
Mhm.
Is they actually, one of the parties has to sue the other, or somehow prosecute a claim through YouTube or some, I don't know. In this case, it wouldn't be YouTube, but so sue each other in court basically, and then the other side has to also defend. Otherwise, the, let's say Take Two sues the Open for modding community or whatever. Um, in order for them to in order for Open 4 to win, to have any chance, they'd have to put on a defense, which does mean hiring lawyers and those lawyers getting familiar with the case and filing lots of documents like we see in the H3 case and all that. And and that gets very expensive. So it requires them to actually defend it, to actually want to.
So
and that doesn't happen.
So essentially what you're saying is, like, if I was to add like a car skin to the game and like single player, it is a completely new work and whatnot, so therefore it is transformative and under fair use.
I'm going to stop short of saying that it's got to be transformative. I'm saying that you're closer to it. And
okay.
So one of the reasons fair use is so complicated is that there isn't a formula. Instead, it is more of like a writing it all down in your mind or on paper, kind of collecting it all, looking at all in total, and then just kind of weighing each of the factors after you do some legal research to find out if there are similar cases and what the judges may have said in similar cases. It's really, that's it. There isn't, unless you find a case that's exactly your case, you have to find a way to argue some other case applies here and how does it apply, or some other law or some other interpretation. And if there isn't one, you get to make your own up and hope that the judge agrees with you. There isn't anything more exact than that for fair use law, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's especially with the newish frontier of online gaming and whatnot. I mean, like, online gaming has been around forever, but now people are starting to understand how profitable it is and how different ways the different ways that you can actually make money online and everything, even within a game. And so I feel like the next few years are going to be quite interesting.
yeah.
Because
assuming as long as things keep going and we don't otherwise kill each other in real life, either with climate change or world war or something, I don't know.
Everybody dies. Oh, well, gaming's not profitable anymore.
It's not a problem anymore now.
I think it's interesting. I think this kind of shows the interesting state of the United States justice system, though. I've seen a lot of people kind of, because Open 4, they were saying, well, we know we have fair use. We know we are covered under fair use. We took all the steps to make sure we didn't circumvent any protections. We followed, and they were actually based out of Russia, so they're saying we followed the code of Russia and we made sure to follow it to the letter, and we did all this research and put all this time into it, making sure everything was good. But we can't defend it because we don't have the money to go up against a corporation, someone like Take-Two, who's got a full legal team.
Yeah,
exactly correct. They are Open 4 is technically in the right on this one, I think, and there's nothing that they can do to win unless the whole of the internet raises a legal defense fund that is probably also in the 6 digits or more, like the H3 case.
Sadly, the justice system is pay to win.
In a sense, it is. In a sense, it is, and we know it. But then, I mean, we could have an hours-long discussion on how in the world would you fix that, because as soon as you start to do something to fix it, something else breaks, and so it becomes a very complicated thing. A lot of people, you'll hear it throughout your entire life, I'm sure. A lot of people will say very conclusory, definitive statements. Like if Mexicans want to come to America, well, they should just make Mexico better. Okay, wait a second. Like, there's so much in there that you didn't think about. No, you can't even begin. Where do you even start with that one? So yeah, people do the same thing with copyright law and everything too. So. If
you ever want to talk about globalism between America and Mexico, I had to do a very large report on that. So if you ever want to talk about that, but I know my way around it.
and even the flip side of that, not to get into the globalism thing, but even the flip side of that, like even if you are a person who thinks that we should just let everybody into the country, which is also an extreme view that I would not sponsor, but you also have problems with that because you'll have different cultures, and so you can't say everybody's good and you can just open up the borders, and you can't say that we have to close them down and they can fix their own problems. It's always a balancing act, just like copyright law.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Just like you're saying, I mean, it's not an easy fix. It's not an easy fix, but I think
no.
I think we're going to see the effects of that very heavily because of the way the internet is going. Because I know there's a from my experiences and from my knowledge of law, and correct me if I'm wrong, of course, but I do know that there tends to be a lot of kind of reliance on case studies and previous rulings. It's like you use the argument that this previously the Ninth Circuit Court ruled this, and so therefore this, and so but so many of the top creators nowadays are small YouTuber. I mean not small. Obviously, people like PewDiePie are making millions, but they're on their own. They may have a small company, but there's not a lot of really opportunities for these decisions to be made that you can reference in the future, because so many people can't afford to fight like these large companies. They can't afford to fight people who
PewDiePie could afford to fight Wall Street. He could totally do it. There's no doubt in my mind he could do it.
But what Wall Street did might not have been defamation, and so it's another one of those gray area cases where it's going to be a long battle that they might not win.
Yeah.
I'm assuming we're talking about the defamation part with the Wall Street.
Yeah, we're talking about the defamation part. I mean, the way I see it is that he's getting more views than them by like nearly twice as much every day, so why does he care?
And isn't that weird? Well, and here's one of the points I wanted to make was the vast difference in the amounts of money between broadcast TV and major media networks and YouTube. PewDiePie may have 7 or 8 million or more, is it now?
He's got 50 million.
50 million? 50 million?
50 million.
Holy crap. And that's an enormous amount of viewership, but if a TV station like NBC has 50 million views, they're getting a buttload more money than PewDiePie is getting for 50 million views.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. There is a big difference.
I'm hoping that it's becoming narrower of a gap, but it's still a very, very large difference between how much someone makes at the same level of viewership.
His net worth, just interesting fact, PewDiePie's net worth as of last year was $61 million.
Nice. Well,
for every $1 for every subscriber.
Your favorite copyright attorney is gonna go there too someday.
Vance Hope says companies in general are becoming bimodal. A very few large companies, lots of very small companies, and not many in the middle. And that's actually a really good point. There's a lot of these tech startups that are coming in. Silicon Valley's got tons of them, and you have the millennial view of like the beanbag chairs and the small little startup tech company. But as soon as something happens, there's definitely a lot of bullying. They get thrown around by the big guys, and we can't even see that with net neutrality. With trying to get all these, you got to get all these big companies on board, because all these small companies who will benefit from the free and open internet have to these big companies,
to no power.
They have little to no power, and these big companies they don't want the startups taking over their profit shares and their market.
Yeah. It's all very interesting how all that works, and then once again we're seeing that whole like bullying issue here with Take-Two and these modding communities.
And on that bullying issue, I had made a few notes here. I thought that there's some legal doctrine or some legal precedent that I think actually applies at least to Open4 that does show us that Take-Two is really just doing bullying here and isn't necessarily asserting a true right, again, at least against Open4 from what I understand, because it doesn't seem to me like Open4 was doing anything that breaks fair use or usurps Rockstar's original copyrighted work or breaks technological protection measures. I'm sure those arguments could all be made, and I'm sure that Take-Two and Rockstar would make those in court. I'm not saying they're invalid. I'm just saying on its face, what it looks like is that there was one of several things would be a very good defense for Open 4 if they really wanted to defend themselves. Not the least of which is that they at some point talked to Rockstar and had a conversation. From what I just, this has been reported in the news. I don't know this for a fact, but that they had a conversation with Rockstar and they changed their mod or altered the scope of their mod to make sure that it didn't piss off Rockstar. They kept it single player only, for example. They didn't allow modifying multiplayer, like you said. And from what I understand, those things came from an actual conversation with Rockstar. And in the law, that would seem to me to be what we'd call an implied license. They were giving permission, like, go ahead, you can do this, even though they might not say, yeah, go ahead, create a mod. They're saying, well, if you're gonna create a mod, at least do it this way. That still seems to me to be some kind of license. And so I think their first defense is that they have some kind of permission, either written permission in the form of that conversation or implied permission, which is a thing under the law. Another doctrine is when you rely on someone's legal actions. In this case, they didn't take them down for 8 or more years, 4 for GTA 5, and that these people, Open 4, have relied, the community has relied on this modding community and tool and GTA 5 not being shut, closed to modding. And now it's not like Rockstar made some minor technical change and the modding community just has to deal with it and figure out how to remod the game or whatever. They've taken a separate legal action. The game probably still can be modded and nothing else has changed, and it's just this legal action. But Take-Two and Rockstar know that this community has relied on them not doing anything for 8 or 9 years, has built something from the ground up, and that ripping away the dam is going to let the floodwaters wash everybody away. And so haven't those people relied, and aren't they injured by getting washed away like that? And then the flip side of that is something in the law we call unjust enrichment, which is when you get to receive a benefit, but you manage to get out of giving me my benefit for it. So definitely Rockstar and Take-Two have profited from GTA 5's mods. Even if there isn't a direct payment, some people buy GTA 5 because they want to play it with mods.
I mean, but in all seriousness, I bought the game 3 times. I bought it originally when it came out on Xbox 360. I upgraded it to the Xbox One version when that came out, and then I bought it on PC because I wanted to use mods. Big mod. I was a big fan of GTA 4, the LSPDFR, Los Santos Police Department First Responder mod, which allows. I mean, it's a cool mod, allows you to play as a cop, and you can use that whole open world. It's such a fun mod.
That's neat, and that doesn't. The original copyrighted work didn't let you do that.
Right.
You're not, unlocking some hidden story content that they're secretly waiting to DLC later on or something like that. It just found a new way to use an existing copyrighted work. That sounds freaking transformative to me, and a fair use. So go ahead.
I would say, would that? It's kind of like the idea of like using a game engine, almost in a way. It's under the same principle, kind of.
Yeah,
thing.
And I actually don't think that this would serve, like, if Rockstar or Take-Two pursued this in court, I actually don't think that they would win, assuming that, like I said before, everybody puts up a defense and everything. So, unjust enrichment, that they've benefited, and yet now they're just going to wipe away the community and get to keep the benefits. They get to keep your $60, and now there's going to be this market, like, hole where they're going to be able to fill it with their own product or something if they want. And so that's more unjust enrichment, I think. And I think that also then crosses the line into misuse of copyright, which I talked about in my wargaming video.
Yep.
And I think you could make a misuse of copyright argument here, that this is not the original intended purpose of copyright, and that they are using this copyright to themselves assert market dominance instead of creating useful and artistic works of expression. Those two things are not compatible. Like, you can't, you don't create a copyrighted work to use it, no, that's, and when people have done that in the past, they've been in big trouble for it. John Steele just gave up his law license, and Paul Hansmeier is about to lose his case. Those are the people who created adult videos to only just so they could sue people for downloading them. But they posted them online themselves and let people download them. They knew people were downloading them.
And they sued them.
They were the source of the download. The plaintiff was the source of the download, and yet they still sued people for it. So there is a line, and I'm not saying that I can conclude 100% that Take-Two would lose, but my opinion is that this is very close to a misuse of copyright, if not a misuse of copyright, and they could lose on that point too.
So to put it in probably a better perspective, if you were the attorney hired to defend this case, you would feel very confident about your chances.
I would feel better. Yeah, I would feel confident enough to proceed. Yeah, I wouldn't feel 100% confident, but I would feel confident enough to proceed.
Could the modding community, like, let's say the Open4 joins with some of these other modding groups or like modding companies and whatnot, could they form kind of like not a union, but like could they form together and all a class action?
Yes, you're on the right track. There's another legal doctrine. Separate from what we were just talking about. Everybody who wants to sue has to have standing. They have to be an injured party. They have to be involved in the issues with the case. It can't just be somebody swooping in and trying to make a political point by taking over your case. So that does mean that the list of potential parties is not just Open4. It could be members of the Open4 community who could form a group or for a legal defense group or whatever to represent them and take their claim to court. It'd be complicated. You have to get the judge's permission for this kind of thing, but they could become a party even if Open4 doesn't want to pursue it.
Right. And also, I mean, let's say Open4 did want to pursue it, like, so they would not want to get Force Hacks onto this group because Force Hacks was blatantly breaking the what is it? They were impeding on the game. They were breaking
the encryption or whatever. Yes. Technological protection measures is the legal term for it.
Yeah,
not my term. That's not what I would call it. But
right. I understand. I get you.
Most people would call it hacking.
Yeah, like electronic locks or encryption or something like that.
Okay, so like Open4 would not want to join up with like Force Hacks, but maybe someone else that has also been affected in only the single player market.
Yeah, your plaintiff, your defendants, or whoever, depends on who's suing who, but your Open4 community would want to be careful who they partnered with to defend themselves. And then there's still some gray area here, like someone in the comments was asked. Fantahope was asking, what about using Open4 to install other mods? I don't know how that works. Again, I like GTA 5. I just put it away long ago, and I haven't participated in modding it or anything like that, so I don't know how it works. But
I think he was asking for the to join together, that they've been affected by the cease and desist order.
Yeah. Okay. If Open4 can be used to help other truly illegal mods get installed, I don't see that. I don't see that as much of an argument unless Rockstar Take-Two can prove that that was the intention of Open4, was to allow other illegal mods to be able to be installed through their software or something. I don't see it.
And I was going to say, Vanderhope makes a good point. He also purchased on PC specifically for modding, and unfortunately, they're probably not going to give you a refund on 50-plus hours. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe on your comment about the Open4 is in Russia, I believe since it is Take-Two's an American company, it would be handled under American copyright law, correct?
Yes, this would very likely be handled under American copyright law, since Take-Two's in America, YouTube's in America, Open4 is in Russia, but I think Russia is a member of both the TRIPS agreement, the Berne Convention, and the WIPO Treaty. So I think basically copyright law applies. What's so funny?
Okay, so I knew that this had been happening. So ever since this whole bust came out, right? Grand Theft Auto has been getting an incredible amount of negative reviews
On Steam.
Yeah.
on Steam,
Oh, yeah.
and right now on their recent, it says overwhelmingly negative. Only
Oh, yeah.
14% of people find, and
I
now it's
actually
got
have this
mixed
up, yeah.
reviews. These are relentless.
Oh, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I'm about to do
These
one. I'm gonna do one myself because that's just it's such a big influence in the community. And actually, that's actually a great point because I wanted to bring up something you said, Leonard, about the implicit license. So
Yeah.
on Rockstar's own website, this was actually covered early on in the game because mods were coming out real fast. And so there were people saying, I'm having so much fun with GTA 5 on the PC, but I have just one question about it. How come you are not allowing mods for it? And this is just like an FAQ. And so Rockstar's official response is as follows. We have always appreciated the creative efforts of the PC modding community, and we still fondly remember the awesome Zombie Invasion mod and the original GTA map mod for GTA 4 PC, among many other classics. To be clear, the modding policy in our license has not changed and is the same as for GTA 4. Recent updates to GTA 5 PC had an unattended effect of making unplayable certain single-player modifications. This was not intentional. No one has been banned for using single-player modifications, and you should not worry about being banned or being relegated to the cheater pool just for using single-player PC mods. Our primary focus is on protecting GTA Online against modifications that give players an unfair advantage, disrupt gameplay, or cause griefing. It also bears mentioning that because game mods are by definition unauthorized, they may be broken by technical updates, cause instability, or affect your game in other unforeseen ways.
See, I feel like all this could have been avoided if Rockstar hadn't been lazy about giving people the ban hammer.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'm looking at games like Counter-Strike and League of Legends, who have a massive fan base, absolutely huge, and they give people the ban hammer a lot. Like, they're not afraid to smash it down and be like, sorry, you're not playing competitive or this game anymore. And Overwatch has even gotten to where, like, if you get caught using any sort of hacks, you're permanently banned from the game.
Nice.
Like, but here's the thing. And then Rockstar's over here, I can't say I've ever heard of someone being reported and getting completely banned from the game. I've never
Extreme
heard of
Psychosis.
Wow.
Extreme Psychosis got perm banned on his. Oh, you weren't there. Sorry. So Extreme Psychosis actually got perm banned when his account got hacked.
Oh well, he got hacked by a bunch of Russians. I remember that.
Yeah, but they got his account banned, and when he got his account back, they would not unban him.
Wow.
Really?
Because they were like, they wouldn't even touch it. It's like, oh, it's permaban, you can't appeal it. I was like, I paid $60 for this game, and you're not letting me play it because of something that I couldn't.
Somebody else is hacking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Let's go to court and get a court order to undo that.
There you go.
That'll be an interesting one.
Small claims court.
and Vanna, yeah, actually, we were talking about that earlier. That I feel like this is a attempt by Take-Two to kind of get people back into online, and which is funny because this is not the kind of move that will force people to buy microtransactions. If you take away my mods, I'm just not going to play your game.
Yeah, exactly. There's other games out there, maybe ones that aren't as good in some ways as GTA 5. It's very polished. It's a AAA title. It's very Saints Row is just, it's not quite the same.
Yeah.
But Saints Row supports modding, doesn't it? I mean, at least
does.
I've seen some pretty ridiculous things in that game.
Look at Bethesda. Like,
yeah.
Any Bethesda game, they rely on the modding community.
Bethesda has PO'd their community, though, with their announcement of the Creation Club.
Oh yeah, no, that's so stupid.
That's a whole other conversation. I don't even know how to deal with that paid mods.
I don't either.
I think that's the way I look at
it. Can work. I don't see a problem with it working. I just don't know how.
The issue I had, I think people are equating this too closely to the Steam paid mods. Because the Steam paid mods were just, Valve gets a cut, Bethesda gets a cut, the mod creator gets a cut. But with the Creation Club, as I understand it, Creation Club, it's Bethesda developers, third-party developers, and special members of the community who get the the full QA experience. So the mod goes through Bethesda and they give it to their QA team, and their QA team tests it and makes sure it's compatible with the game, and then they release it for money. So I don't see anything wrong with that personally.
Yeah, that sounds totally possible.
And like
We'll see how it works.
Like I don't see any issue with it either, but the thing about it is that like the modding community has been alive for years because people are willing to support these creators through donations and through non-mandatory subscription services like forever, and no matter what community you look at. Like you look at Gary's mod, for instance, like when people are like, hey, support the server kind of thing and this mod, blah blah blah, and people do it. I don't see why you need to force people to pay money when it's already been working like this for years and it's been doing fine. That's my thing behind it. I guess Bethesda's just trying to make more money out of it, but in the end, they're just pissing off their community more.
They're trying to change something up for some reason. Money's usually a pretty good motivator. I would assume that that's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I really don't understand the second half of that. Like, so we're gonna shoot our biggest customers in the foot.
Yeah. It doesn't make a lick of sense.
What? I just don't get it. I just don't get it. There's like, these are the people who are fanatical about your game and are gonna keep playing it 4 years after you released it, and you're like, yeah, screw you guys.
I see a lot of this though in this industry, and I don't understand. There's just something about the video game industry where investors and shareholders, there's this drive, and of course, within any company they want to appease their shareholders. But there's like this drive for this short-term profit as opposed to a long-term continuous, I think of Call of Duty, for example. I think of Call of Duty and okay, Call of Duty is such a big game series, but they're going to kill the franchise eventually because they've done annual releases for the last 10 years. And so eventually, people are getting tired of it. Now, to be fair, I've been asking for a World War II Call of Duty for years, and so they finally gave it to me. So
wasn't that the original Call of Duty?
It is, but like an updated one.
Oh, okay.
Thing.
It's been 9 years. It's been 9 years since the last World War II Call of Duty.
Yeah, so I could definitely see an update in 10 years, but the every year release is a little weird.
Yeah.
I don't know if people are happy with it. I guess I lost interest in that franchise a long time ago. I really thought I was gonna like Battlefield 1, but it just reminded me more of other games that I've played from EA that have the exact same mechanics. Other Battlefield games, I guess, and Battlefront. And it was just like, okay, so if I want to play this, I'll just go play Battlefront since I've got that already.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't mind them releasing these games every year. It's that they just don't seem to be that much better.
No.
In the right ways.
It's why Assassin's Creed decided to take a year off.
That was probably a great idea.
World War
exactly.
II used to be 80% of games, and then Modern Combat was 80% of games, and then Future Combat was 80% of games, and we're back to World War II. We've gone back in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Ubisoft is like the opposite, though. Ubisoft, like Assassin's Creed, has a decent story, but then the game is so freaking glitchy sometimes.
And repetitive.
Watch Dogs was really fun, and then it was just so glitchy at times and repetitive then.
And then they were like, it's a GTA 5 killer. And then, no, it wasn't. Not in the slightest.
And I didn't even check out Watch Dogs 2.
I
It
heard...
was just like, no, I'm just not even going to do it anymore.
From what I've heard, I have not played it, but from what I've heard, they took everything the community complained about and improved on it. Which is
awesome.
funny. I saw a great picture on Reddit and it just made me laugh because it was like early 2017. It was like, yay Bethesda, yay Rockstar, screw EA, screw Ubisoft. And then and now it's like, screw Bethesda, screw Rockstar, yay EA, yay Ubisoft.
It just goes around in the circle, man. It just
Well, because I mean that we even see Ubisoft with stuff like with the creators. I know that one of my favorite one of my favorite creators who does a lot of like gaming news, smaller guys, Big Fry TV. He had a whole he's talked about this at length about how the Ubisoft guys, the Ubisoft guys, they don't care what you say about their game. They'll still invite you back to play tests and to, you know, they have no problem with it. And they're like,
well, they understand that you're giving them energy in their direction, whether it's positive or negative. Something's coming to the company in the form of marketing.
There's no such thing as bad publicity.
And so I don't understand some of these like devs who even like the digital homicide thing and all that.
Oh my god, that one.
Let it blow up. Let it be the stupidest game, and let Jim Sterling make video after video after video sending people to your game. And instead he's like, no, I'm going to get upset about it.
And then they sued him.
And then sue him. I'm just
That was really dumb.
I'm like, how about this? You take a look at your game, understand that it's a pile of crap, and then be like, hey, I'm going to make a thing about me improving and making video games. There you go. And then Jim Sterling can still talk massive shit, and I'll just still be trying to improve myself. There you go.
Yeah.
See,
what a concept.
It's the Streisand effect. I mean, it's case study textbook Streisand effect. Try to shut something down, and it blows up in your face. Welcome to the internet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You have to own it. Yeah. At these days, you just have to own your mistakes. You have to own everything. You have to own your humanity.
Yeah.
It's different.
My body is Reggie.
Everything's out. Everything. The thing is that like everything is out there now. Like as soon as you say something or do something on the internet, it's there forever, and there's nothing you can do about it.
All right, Ish Darkness. We're not talking about hentai games on this podcast.
We need more hentai.
We need more honeypot.
Oh gosh.
Hentai are the adult content ones, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, Kevin.
Oh, yes, Jesus. Tentacle porn. There you go.
But I just, you know, I don't know what Take-Two's doing. I don't know what because they're, you know, that this is probably people are already like Red Dead Redemption 2 is probably not coming to the PC. There hasn't been anything really about it.
That makes me so sad.
Oh, that makes me sad.
Red Dead is like my favorite game of all time.
That was really good.
Like,
that was a really good game.
So good. Mr. Marston.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no.
But no, like now
that was a different use of the GTA 5 engine or 4 engine or whatever.
Yeah, the Rage and the Rage physics engine as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was one of those things where Jesus Christ.
I'm just ignoring that. Just gonna ignore that, Dr. Awesomeness. Welcome to the stream.
But no, what was it? Yeah, no, now that Take-Two's doing this though, like as a person that's like a huge fan of Red Dead and whatnot, like I'm less incentivized to buy from them now. And this is a person like Red Dead Redemption is my favorite game of all time. It is 100%. And the fact that they're doing this, I'm just like, no, like why are you doing this to your community? This makes no sense. Of course, you know, if it doesn't go to PC, then there's not really going to be too much of a modded community. I mean, there will be. It'll be very niche, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like I need to just kind of give Take-Two the middle finger and just be like, nope, not doing it. You know.
Well, what really makes me laugh is there's two things that I'm thinking of. Going back to that Rockstar post on their website that was talking about that. We remember the original GTA map in GTA 4. Like, they also shut down a project to make the Red Dead Redemption map in GTA 5.
Yes,
and
they
so
did.
it's like, why? Okay, but it's not taking away sales from your Red Dead series. You're just talking about a new Red Dead, Redemption 2 game. And then, but it's just like, the other thing is, I believe, and Timper, correct me if I'm wrong on this, I believe the gun running update that they just released is the last official big update for Grand Theft Auto 5.
I don't know if it is or not. I honestly don't know the answer to that.
I believe they said that. And so if that's the case, the mods are the future. And I mean, you see the GTA 5 RP community, which the role playing community, which has exploded on Twitch. And that's actually online. Why did they not get shut down? Why is Open 4 getting shut down? And that's directly taking away from their profits, because you have to use the 5M modification, which is a server. It's not a server, but it's a framework client that allows you to play on custom servers. But they make sure you own the game legally.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like, why would they stop printing money?
Yeah.
Exactly. Like,
so there hasn't been any formal statement about that. Thank you, Rox. I thought
Well, we'll
they had
see.
said something.
We'll see what happens, because maybe they thought that they were going to print more money
after
by
this.
by having people convert shark cards or whatever.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll realize, maybe their wallet will get hit now, and they'll realize that they want the modding community back. I don't know how that's going to work then.
I think the biggest problem, unfortunately, with that is they've already made the money on this game.
Yeah, it's been out, and I know very few people that don't own GTA.
Yeah,
Alex.
I own
know
a console copy and a PC copy.
Like most people, exactly, and then a lot of people.
How many hours do I have? Maybe I can refund my PC copy.
I own a PS3 copy and I own a PC copy. It's.
Oh, hey, I don't own a PC copy.
Oh,
there you go.
So you can't
you win. It'd be really troll if you bought the game and then you refunded it.
Yeah, I actually don't. Oh wait, yeah, I do. Never mind.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Darn.
How do I? I must have bought it someplace else, because it says it's a non-Steam game.
You might have bought it on, probably a different website like Humble or something.
I think the biggest thing to make sure that it's clear is Rockstar is not banning mods.
No, they are not. They're fully supporting it, actually.
They're supporting single player mods, because according to the Rockstar statement, but they're shutting down. But Take-Two has declared modding illegal, which is interesting because there's this message. It feels almost like Take-Two did this without Rockstar's permission and then told Rockstar to save face. Because you're getting two kind of different sides.
Yeah.
Give it a negative review.
That definitely sounds like a conflict that Rockstar's in the middle of this, and they want to appease their publisher as well as their fan base, as well as their online people who are complaining about cheating. And Take-Two just went ahead and did this. That would put Rockstar in a very difficult position.
Yeah.
50 to 60% of mods for GTA require the end user to have Open 4 installed. Okay, I didn't know that. Because I thought, because all my mods use just use the Raid plugin hook, which is different.
Raid hasn't been hit yet.
Yeah, we'll see.
Oh, so some mods haven't been taken down yet.
Yeah, some have not been taken down yet. Some have not.
Do we know that the mod hasn't received a cease and desist, or is it just that nobody's said anything?
No one's I'm trying to look for an update, and the latest one is this update from Kotaku from yesterday, and they even updated theirs today, saying 2 or more mod menus, and it was lexicon and menu that got taken down. Or they got the cease and desist letters. So we haven't got any more information on any more cease and desist letters that have been sent out. I'm sure that they're on the way, more than likely. I mean, if they haven't gotten them already, then
yeah. I really wonder what it was about Open 4 that got them on this list.
I just want to know why they were first.
That too.
Why wouldn't you hit Force Hacks first? They're the ones they only deal with online. Why are you hitting Open 4 that doesn't have anything to do with it? That's my question.
It would be weird to me that Take-Two's legal team doesn't have this exact conversation before they do this and make these decisions knowing everything that we just talked about. But at the same time, I also, from my experience as a lawyer, I know the exact opposite is also completely possible, where some legal team or lawyer or executive walks in and goes, I don't care to know the details, this is just what I want you to do, and go do it. and I've seen that before.
It's such a terrible way to lead, too. I mean, it's the reality of the situation, but it is just terrible. We know when as a manager you don't take the time to look into things and learn the details and actually care about what, like, you know, I want more money. Do this for me. And I'm wondering if anybody took them a second to step back and say, "I'm sorry, sir," but they probably didn't, because it was probably like, "Yeah, that's your job. Bye. Pack your desk, leave."
I'm curious to see or to hear if, like, maybe there's some, like, stakeholders in Take-Two that, like, maybe they don't exactly understand, like, how this community works and whatnot. Maybe they just see Take-Two as like, oh, it's a tech company that's being very profitable, so I'm going to invest in it, kind of thing. You know what I mean? I'm wondering if there's that issue, and then something weird happened, like they had a grandchild that's complaining about it, and they're like, well, I'm gonna look into this, and they kind of do half-assed and whatnot, and then you know,
that can happen.
I mean, crazier things have happened, so it's like,
what sounds weird to me is that Take-Two otherwise makes and distributes what I understand to be fairly decent games, nice AAA titles like Red Dead Redemption and GTA 5 and many others.
They do Killing Floor as well, correct?
No.
Okay.
That's Tripwire Interactive.
That's Tripwire Interactive. Okay. That's who it is. Never mind.
But like they know these things. They know this community is huge, and I really don't understand what they're thinking.
Take-Two.
But I guess I can only say that so many times.
The Moneybug CEOs. Moneybug maybe got to them. I don't know.
Well, actually, it's funny you bring that up, Vanta. So apparently the CEO doesn't play games at all, but he actually did go out and make a statement recently saying something about people were not buying money or something. Shoot, where was it? It was recent. That's just the earnings call. It doesn't help me. I don't remember, but he said an interesting statement. For those of you who know what that, if someone knows what that statement is, please inform me, because I don't remember what it is. But he was on an interview and he said something like, you know, people aren't paying money as much anymore for microtransactions. Like, yes, because people are tired of your game, because
it's a 4-year-old game.
Yeah.
And like,
what did you think was going to happen?
And like, I appreciate the idea of microtransactions for the fact that GTA has come out with only the only content, the only DLC they've come out with is free, completely 100% free. And I've enjoyed like pretty much every expansion that they've given. I mean, Cunning Stunts was incredible. Like, everything they add is just great. And so I appreciate the idea behind the shark cards. I just feel like they're being misused. It's being abused to an extent.
See, we had this whole discussion that one time when you were like, I would rather have the microtransactions and have the free updates. And I was like,
100%.
But I was like, but Luke, they are overcharging us on all the content in game, so they want us to charge money. And you were like, but still.
Oh.
I mean, I don't mind.
What they did? They like raised the prices and the things in the game stores and stuff, so that you can't go buy ammo and stuff without having to get lots of in-game money.
Well, not even ammo's easy to get. It's like when you want to buy like the really nice cars that are part of the new expansion and whatnot. And like, I'll say this right now, GTA is a very grindy game. If you want to get money, it's super grindy. Like, it's RuneScape level. Okay, it's not RuneScape level.
But you have to do this grind in the multiplayer, online, in order for the money. Okay, so you can't. So it's, again, Open 4 doesn't let you doesn't change that. It doesn't like. At worst, I think Take-Two could make the argument that maybe by playing Open 4's mods, you're not going to take advantage of some of the in-game content that you would be paying for.
I think there was actually part of the argument that Open 4 allows you to get online cars in the single-player mode that they didn't bring into single-player initially, which was interesting. I think that might have been... I heard that argument as well.
Well, that sounds... So that... A version of that sounds totally normal to me. You have a moddable game, the distributor developer releases premium content for it, so somebody releases a non-premium version so you can play that thing or whatever. That's much closer to not a fair use. I kind of get that, but that doesn't. It's not what I'm hearing is what Open 4 was being used for.
No.
And
To
even
my
then,
knowledge.
like your copyright infringement claim would be the one person who created the one part of the mod, or one little mod of a larger part, of a larger aggregation of mods or something, to just do that one function. You don't have to take down the entire community because you don't like that somebody put your premium cars into the game for free. That's pretty clearly a normal use of your copyrights, not shutting down the whole community. Think of it this way. Think of it like in real life. If you were working on your car, uh, nobody could stop you from taking your car apart and putting it back together as you saw fit to make it your personal car. But here they get to do that because it's their software and you've licensed it.
I mean,
I actually didn't see that episode Blackthorn, but I did see the Jimquisition Mod Theft Auto. I think that's where he referenced it. That thank you for that. I appreciate that.
I don't think I watched that one, Blackthorn. I'll have to go check that one out.
So this is
check that.
yeah. So I really like Jim Sterling's opinion on the matter. You're still playing on their servers and agreeing to their licenses. Yeah, I mean, that's actually something I want to bring up. I want to ask you, Leonard, because I've heard this argument online many times. I'm not sure how accurate it is. In-user license agreements, would they stand up in court?
Oh, they do, and they have stood up in court. What we talk about now is what level of agreement do we need to make sure that the agreement stands up in court. So if you never see the agreement, if you never sign the agreement, then I can't enforce it against you in court. How about if I just pop up the text and you click a checkbox? How about if I pop up the text and I make you scroll through the agreement before you click a thing? How about if the thing you click says, I have read and understand? How about if it says, I've read and understand and agree and yada, yada, yada? There's legal precedent on exactly what wording those agreements should be, what requirements there are for those agreements. But end user license agreements are contracts and absolutely enforceable.
Okay.
Is there any argument to be made about the fact that you are not a negotiating party? That isn't.
Yes.
Okay.
It's considered a contract of adhesion, which means take it or leave it. You can't negotiate. It could be considered a consumer contract in some states, and so it might implicate consumer law, especially in states like California, which have very strong consumer law. So some provisions of an end user license agreement could very well be completely invalid or unenforceable. That doesn't mean that companies like Take-Two don't put clauses in there that are still unenforceable because they just hope that you'll see that and go away. But if you know better, then you can look into that and figure out how to use the parts of, like the modding thing. Like it might say no modding, but then they've also said other things like we allow modding under these circumstances. So there's more to it than just the end user license agreement.
Right.
Okay, cool. Because like I said, that's something you hear online a lot from people who are uninformed.
Yeah, your click wrap agreements where you click on things. Before the internet, it used to be that if you broke the shrink wrap on the box that you bought that had the software inside it, or if you broke the seal to open the CD, it said something on there like you agree to the terms contained here in this paper inside the box or something, and those were under certain conditions. Those agreements are completely valid, and those conditions are repeatable. So once the precedent was set, they said, you gotta do it this way. People just figured out how to do it that way, and now, of course, your software pops up an agreement, and you don't have to have shrink wrap on your box. And who buys boxed software these days anyway? But
truth, I found a floppy disk at work the other day, and I'm like, what?
Hey,
what is this?
Yeah, no, it's used for one of the lighting consoles apparently.
Oh yeah, it's probably the.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I'm just like, wait a minute, we have that kind of technology.
We have the technology.
It dawned on me not long ago that the floppy disk to this generation is just a save icon.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned lighting console. I used to work in lighting. What are you talking about?
Like concert lighting.
Oh, cool. My buddy does sound and stage lighting up here, and I moonlight with him once in a while, and that's what I was doing last week.
Cool.
And why I haven't put videos out and why I've been a little bit busy is we had our local film festival, and I'm not like anything big with it, but he needs help, so I show up and I help him put up screens and then run theaters.
Oh, okay.
That's cool.
Yeah, to say Nola and I are both audio people, and then he's lighting, and I'm also video.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Those were my original loves, and I managed to get into law as a tangent. I wanted to do music and sound, but there's not a lot of money in music and sound, and not everywhere either. And I'm in Pennsylvania, so
and it's a lot of work to put yourself out there.
You got the Rock Lidditz near you though, right? That big,
no.
It's a big rehearsal space, I think. Lidditz.
Oh no.
I think
Yeah. If it's in Lidditz, PA, yeah, that's not too far, but that's like halfway across the state, I think.
Oh, I don't know anything about Pennsylvania.
But I'll have to look into that. Yeah, we do have some pretty cool concert venues around here too.
It's Rock Lidditz. It's a giant rehearsal space for bands.
Funny.
So.
That's really cool. I did not know that you were into that kind of stuff previously.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to say something, because it's always cool to meet people who are into music and sound.
Oh yeah, and like the science of it and all that jazz and whatnot. Oh yeah. Good old acoustical physics.
So Vanna Hope was asking, Leonard, what do you think about the fact that GTA's official social media accounts and their website has shared some of these mods during development? And mods that used Open4.
Though that's evidence that I would use to show that that goes towards the implied license, that goes towards the equitable estoppel, that and the reliance, that actually just goes in favor of the modding community. I think they knew that this was going on, and they can't just one day decide to shut it down.
Could Rockstar fight this?
Yes, I think Rockstar could decide to fight this. It might not be a good idea in the long run, and they might not want to fight publicly. Think of divorcing parents. They don't want anybody to know, right? It just makes everything look bad, and maybe they'll tell everybody when the time is right? So this Take-Two and Rockstar are definitely talking about this. That's my opinion. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm gonna guess that that's an accurate fact. That they're definitely talking about this and having exactly this conversation, actually. And
because anybody would take Rockstar under their wing for publishing.
Well, I think the biggest thing we're learning.
But how did they get out of their contract with Take-Two?
They've got the contract, and I think we can guarantee from this that Take-Two owns the IP. Because
maybe.
Official statement from Leonard French. They're talking about it. Insider information.
Guarantee it. They're talking about it.
100% guaranteed, or your money back.
Obvious statement of the day. Obvious statement is obvious.
Yes. But yeah, it's I would just love to know what. I'm sure they're exactly having the conversation that we are, but I want to see if there's anything. I wonder if anything's going to come out in the future that gives some more background details to how all this started and to maybe who's advocating this and whatnot. Because when you have big issues like this, every once in a while you see someone come out in an anonymous statement or something like that, and they talk about what's happening. So we might get that before too long.
Okay, so what does it mean that we haven't gotten that yet? It means this isn't a decision that's open to general employees, right? Because you're not hearing people say, "Well, I met with the CEO and he said," or "Our CEO told us that we're gonna." You're not seeing the leaked memo. I think this is probably some executive or legal team's decision that may not have been 100% thought through. Or maybe they did think it through and they got it wrong.
I just love the fact that the idea that a big corporation like that can still just make the most ignorant of decisions.
Oh yeah.
It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
great. It's just incredible.
Yeah,
GTA.
there's a couple big stories like that, and I like that's exactly why we're here. I like to cover those on my channel too. When
Yeah.
when idiots attack.
And one of the big things, I mean, I was once wanting to be a lawyer. I love law. I find it so interesting. So hopefully I would I love your content and what you do, and glad we can have you on today. Hopefully we can have you on in the future to talk about some
Yeah, it was
other
very
stuff.
interesting and stimulating. So thank you very much for having me.
So I think that's pretty much all we can say about the GTA 5 mods at this point. I think we've covered every angle.
We're starting to go in circles. Yeah.
Yeah, we are. I mean, it's one of those things that I want to keep updated with this and whatnot. I'm definitely going to be paying attention every day to the boards and whatnot and see what's happening. It's going to be an interesting next few weeks, I think.
Yeah.
Never know. We might hear something tomorrow. Who knows?
Yeah, I think there'll be movement in some direction, or else. I mean, there can't be, right? There can't be nothing, because if Rockstar and Take-Two do nothing and just continue to shut everybody down, GTA 5 is gonna maybe not die, but it's gonna be a completely different culture than it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely not gonna be. Nothing's gonna be the same. So
Yeah.
I hope that they react in some way. I was going to say maybe there's a third possibility that they know what they're doing and that something that they're going to make an announcement that we're changing our policy. But then again, if they knew what they were doing, wouldn't they have announced it in a different way?
I think if they were smart, they would come out at this point and be like, "We are making modding official." And maybe they're trying to release their own program, but then going back to what you said about the unjust enrichment, then they can make an argument there, and it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. I agree for sure.
Yeah.
So
it's just a big slippery slope, a big big slippery slope of legal issues, much like the music industry, which we deal with.
My body is still Reggie.
So Leonard, I have to follow up with you because I know I mentioned earlier when we were talking before the stream. It was really kind of where I knew of you, really found you on the Where's the Fair Use, really started following you there, and so I wanted to ask about the state of YouTube currently and kind of your thoughts on, since that whole debacle and it's kind of died off, where do you think we stand?
Which aspect? Because I've done a number of WTFU videos, and I kind of forget what the original Channel Awesome video was about. That was like a year ago.
Just the whole nature of fair use on the platform and how creators, and the abuse of the YouTube system and how YouTube has changed their systems in response.
So in general, I think YouTube reacted. I think we've seen them try to refine the process. I'm not sure that they're succeeding so much as just reacting to every fire that has to be put out and hoping that they can keep the system going.
That's an accurate description of that.
I like that the community has become more educated about fair use. It's one of the hardest concepts in law, copyright law especially, and the more awareness that the YouTube community and the online community have, and the quicker their reaction, all this has a deterrent effect on future potential plaintiffs who might abuse fair use or copyright. They know that people understand that there's what the law is. The next step, I think, needs to be that there have to actually be consequences, and that's I think where we're going to stall, or at least have a much bigger obstacle. When I was a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, wide-eyed young lawyer, and I wanted to fight for the cause of copyright defense, I really thought that I would just collect money on the internet, like donations, and then we'd go fight these cases and shut down these copyright trolls. And then it turned out that not every defendant was innocent and not every case was clear, and I couldn't necessarily make the case that you should give your money to one cause because do you want to give your money to somebody who's guilty and you're just going to help them settle their case for less money when they could already afford to do so? And so it became much more complicated than I thought to just win the cause. And so WTFU really needs money, but it needs resources. It needs there to be actual teeth behind the defense, behind the community.
You can't white knight if the person's guilty.
Right.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Well, you can bluff, but you know you're bluffing, and you've got to be bluffing, and that's it. That's like all you got.
You got to make the lawyer and the jury happy.
I have successfully bluffed, but it is not fun. You're constantly wondering when you're going to get found out.
Yep.
You heard it here, folks. Official statement from Leonard French, bluffing lawyer.
Oh, sometimes you have to bluff for your client, but other times, you know, I'm not saying anything unethical or that I've lied to a judge or anything like that. But there's definitely a game of brinksmanship that's played when you're trying to settle cases out of court, and there's a lot of bluffing going on with that. We're about to take you to court. I don't think you are. We're ready to go to court. So are we. You know, we have good arguments. Yes, we do too.
It's a lot of that, just banter back and forth until someone caves.
I guess the way to put it would be to just say the official statement is how to be a lawyer, bluff. I think that's the better way of putting it.
Play lots of poker.
Yeah, no, honestly, learning to read your opponents is a good one. Read Sun Tzu's Art of War. You have lots of good resources, but then you also have to understand the base foundations of the law.
That's near the top of my to-read list, actually.
Oh, cool. I was thinking of covering it since it's a public domain book. I was going to cover it on my channel.
Do they teach you bluffing in law school?
They have an entire class dedicated to it.
No, actually, they teach you very little about how to actually be an attorney in law school. They mostly just teach you how to process legal information, process cases, process writings, understand the concepts of what to look for. They don't go out and say, when you're in court and your adversary does this, you should do this. You can take extra classes called trial advocacy, moot court. Unfortunately, those are not available to me as a night student, but I still get my fair share of trial experience.
Yeah.
See, I find it interesting that there's no psychology or anything sort of required in the I'm gonna
guess that there are courses like that available at many law schools. I don't know too much was available at my law school, Widener University. But I can definitely imagine there being a psychological or an intelligence component, like a not that lawyers do spying, but like they have to understand how what your opponents are doing. So you have to understand all those things that your opponents are going to be doing, everything from spying to bluffing to etc. I often call settlement negotiation a cross between a poker game and a used car salesman, because each party's trying to they're going to ask for more than they need, and they're going to ask for a bigger discount than they need, and you're just going to have to figure out how to read each other and where the tells are.
That's how business is as well. I know from me taking music business classes and whatnot, I was really thankful in the sense that a big part of what they teach you, and a lot of it is like, okay, here's how not to get screwed over by people. Right here, how not to get screwed over 101 and 102 and everything down the line. And it's like, you learn to look for like fishy things in contracts, payment settlements for shows and whatnot, which I've had to deal with that before and everything, and nothing malicious has happened. I've interacted, it was just a mistake, but the thing is though, if that was there, then we wouldn't have got paid the right amount, all that kind of jazz and everything. And I would really like to have taken a class on the psychology of dealing with record labels and whatnot. I feel like that would have been very intriguing to see, because a lot of my experience having to deal with this stuff has been real world situations, and then people telling me hey, look out for this. you know, like outside of class, like what you see that happen, run.
I remember this one time early on in Vestinium's life, Timper and I tried to write our own contract. And that was a mess, and it was kind of a bluffing thing, and someone called our bluff on it. One of the guys on the team who agreed to it called our bluff.
No malicious intent whatsoever at all. Just trying to protect ourselves, and we tried to act like we knew what we were doing, and we didn't. And so
that's cute.
and then we found a lawyer and went to talk to her, and it was gonna be like $1,800 for articles of incorporation. So it's like, I don't have that kind of money.
Yeah.
Depending upon what you're looking for, that might have been charging a little bit too much, but that's also typical for lawyers to try to, like I said, used car salesmen.
Yep.
Lawyers are used car salesmen.
Yes.
But it was definitely one of those things where we were going to a small business lawyer who was not really familiar with the whole video game side of things. So there was going to have to be a lot of...
When we told her that people make money from having people watch them play games, it blew her mind. It absolutely blew her mind. She's like, screw this. I need to quit my job and get on the internet. She had no idea any of this was going on. And I think we showed her Achievement Hunter, and she's like, how many views are these guys getting? And we showed her like in the millions, and we're like, yeah, and they get paid for this. And she's just like, this is so stupid.
Why am I a lawyer? I can be making all this money this way. I'm like, you should probably keep your lawyer job. Probably make a lot more money there.
There were a lot of lawyers who were saying that in 2008, when the stock market crashed and it changed everything for the future legal community. Lots of us were going, what are we going to do now?
Yeah.
And some people did. Some people quit and decided to pursue other careers. Some people are still struggling to start their careers. Even 10 years later. I'm somewhere in the middle. My career seems to be okay, but I could be doing better. Would love to pay back my student loans before I'm dead.
Oh man!
Or figure out how to not pay them back at all legally. That would be awesome.
Declare bankruptcy. Oh wait, that doesn't work.
That doesn't work.
I mean, you could always find a way to get loan forgiveness. Maybe.
Oh
yeah, that's what I'm working on.
Yeah, I'm getting some loan forgiveness. I know my girlfriend, she's becoming a teacher, and so she's trying to get loan forgiveness through working through public schools and whatnot.
Yeah, 10 years of that, and she should be able to get forgiveness.
Exactly.
The trouble is if you can't get the 10-year program and you're on the 25-year program, they charge you the taxes at the end of the 25 years, which on my $300,000 of student loans will be a very large amount of money.
Wow.
So you need to figure out how to pay some of or all of that off before then, or not at all. And I haven't figured it out yet.
How do you sleep at night?
I forget. I literally just have to assume that's just, I can't do anything about that, so I've just got to
live life.
Just got to live life. Everything else I've taken care of. I've managed to get all my credit cards paid off, and and I have no other debts. I have a cheap house. I have low expenses. So I've done everything I can to otherwise live a frugal life. But
now you got that YouTube money coming in.
Now I got this sweet YouTube money and the Patreon money. Thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.
Yes.
And speaking of which,
you're advertiser friendly.
I am. Well, for the most part, I think some of the topics aren't advertiser friendly. And I think I have to do so when I called it digital homicides, digital suicide, I got unmonetized for a day till they investigated that because I used the word suicide.
And you lost money because of that, because all those views on the first
a very
day.
Small amount of money. But yes, if I was PewDiePie and I lost 1 million views worth of money, I would be pissed.
Oh yeah, 100%. The whole adpocalypse thing is just very interesting because it's like, for instance, one point that I saw brought up that was really interesting is like, okay, quick question: why is it that Coca-Cola is on True TV and whatnot, and is like on Cops? They're advertising for Maury and Jerry Springer and all this other crap, and yet on YouTube it's like, oh, you had the word kill.
Can't talk about
that. No. Can't have that. No, sorry.
Because it's bullshit.
Yep.
Wait, you talking about drugs? Oh, forget that we were originally made with cocaine.
Sorry.
It's more executives and legal teams, and I would say the broadcast companies like NBC, etc., are there's kind of a good old boy network. I don't want to. It's not a gender thing. It probably is many men, but it's more of like companies that know each other and work together and have contracts and have history. They all prefer each other, and YouTube is this underdog, and we're not going to help the underdog. They're our competition. We're going to do everything we can to keep them down. So Coca-Cola paying YouTube even close to the same advertising dollars that they would pay to somebody else is just insulting to NBC. So I'm assuming that feedback gets to Coke in those meetings with large companies like that, and they decide, okay, we're not going to pay as much for YouTube. Or maybe it's just the economics of it. Maybe NBC really does just demand that much more money, and YouTubers just don't know how to get YouTube to demand more money or something.
I wonder if like the mainstream like TV corporations actually have anything to do with like they understand the fact that YouTube is a competitor now, and so they're trying to.
That was the Wall Street Journal PewDiePie thing, I think.
Oh yeah, I mean that
was not just sensationalism because we can attack PewDiePie, but also we can attack the whole YouTube institution as a whole.
The biggest thing, and I mean it worked, unfortunately, with the adpocalypse.
Sort of.
I mean, it backfired on
the
Wall
off a
Street
lot of younger people who are going to remember that for the rest of their lives.
I mean, like I don't.
It's like It's like a Telltale game.
Fun fact.
YouTubers will remember that.
Fun fact. So I was writing a 50-page report on Live Nation, the company, for one of my classes, and the entire time I refused to use Wall Street Journal articles, and there was a good amount that I found that could have been useful, and I was like, nope. I don't. You're not credible. Sorry, I'm not using it. Like it was really awful.
That was the first time when that happened. That's when I subscribed to PewDiePie. I didn't care before. I hated him before, but I was like, you know what?
Oh, I hated PewDiePie until he showed up on South Park, and then I was like, okay, that's cool. The guy's okay now.
So Leonard Extreme Psychosis, who is a big fan of yours, he's one of our good friends, one of our mods, a former member of Ascendium as well. But he was saying, so speaking of, what are your thoughts on creating ad-friendly content versus keeping your content original and sticking to your guns?
That's the balancing act. It depends on what you like. So you have to search your heart. What do you want to create? And then if that's somehow not ad friendly, then you have to start thinking about how do you censor that so it can become ad friendly. And that's where I start to get really pissed off because I don't like having to censor things. But then again, I'm also not going out there and trying to, kill fake babies or something, and then trying to say you should advertise Coca-Cola over my dead babies. No, I'm trying to maybe bring a controversial message, like we should be thinking more skeptically. We should be focusing on education. We should be at least addressing the globalism issues instead of trying to sweep them under the rug, the climate change issues, etc. Again, you don't have to agree that the climate change is. We just have to have the conversation. So why these controversial things are somehow not ad friendly sometimes, I'm not really sure. I would think those conversations should all be, while controversial, should all be healthy for us to have, and therefore should be ad friendly in the general sense.
YouTube just, I don't know, they're afraid of conflict nowadays. I feel like any sort of like, I feel like part of it is that they're thinking, okay, if this can produce a very cancerous comment section, then we don't want to advertise it, kind of thing. Maybe.
Yeah.
I feel like that might have something to do with it, but then I'm like, it's the internet. It's all cancer. You can't do it.
Well, there is an entire culture that's not. There's a very proper person's culture out there that thinks that people who curse while speaking are just the lowest of the low.
Oh yeah.
I don't understand it because we live in the regular, we all live in the same world. And these are usually the same people. I don't want to go but usually the same people who are watching violent TV shows are saying, let's not, ever use a curse word in real life. It's a little bit of hypocrisy in my opinion, but
yeah, it's Actually, going back to the comment section thing, you have one of the best comment sections I've ever seen in my life.
I have no idea how that happened.
I don't get it. You
It's
have
the
productive productive conversations. There's like barely any name calling in it and whatnot, and I'm just like, I've never seen this before.
And I barely moderate the comment section. I have had to remove less than a dozen comments in the last year.
I think it's very much I think it's very much because of, one, the community you foster, just with your personality and who you are, but two, I think just the content. Like it's hard to be. I mean, you don't really do clickbait. You don't do clickbait. Your titles are how it is. It's like, this is the case. I did, but you keep the discussion. You keep your discussion in the videos very central to the topic, and so there are people who are gonna like come in and watch the video and just be a jerk, be an asshole. But I think most of the people who come and are willing to spend the time watching your videos are the people who actually find the law interesting and want to learn about it from someone who's as educated on it as you are.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and I'm just as grateful in the reverse direction to the community that has embraced legal education as a topic that they want to hear about. I would have been doing this sooner if I knew that there was that much interest. I didn't even know. I really didn't.
I mean, it's one of those things that, like, I feel like the only ways that people really learn about law are they feel like they have to pay for it in order to learn for it, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, I totally agree. Like, yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess that's part of how the industry works, is that you help ignorant people everything, that kind of stuff.
And one of my problems is I'm bad at asking for that money at the right time, so I'll just start talking to people and be like, hey, let me give you all the information. And then they're like, okay, have a nice day. And I'm like, oh, I should have billed for that. So
yeah, I totally get that.
Now at least with the YouTube channel, I can make that mistake and then get some advertising dollars on the back end. And now with the Patreon supporters, it's really helping me overcome some of those weaknesses in me. And so I can. This works for me. This is really something cool for me. So
I'm really hoping that the advertisers and whatnot, stay kind to you and whatnot. We tried YouTube for a little while, and the algorithm just was not in our favor ever, and just how it was. We understood that we could be more profitable on Twitch, and we've proven that
we made actual money on Twitch.
Yeah, nice. Exactly. I'm just like that's a thing now, so it's
nice. I'm going to be working on all that. I hear Facebook is also a thing to do.
Facebook advertisements. Okay, so do you ever watch the H3 podcast?
No.
Okay. There was one that they had Joey Salads on there, and anyway, they were talking about the advertiser or YouTube advertisements and whatnot, like how you can become a technical like video partner or whatever, and you can get paid for your videos and all that. Apparently, it's like really exclusive, and then you have to know a guy who knows a guy who like knows a guy. It's really hard to get into it. For instance, like Joey Salads, he happens to know the right people, and he actually gets the majority of his views now from Facebook. Like he gets like nearly 100 million views on certain videos on Facebook and whatnot, where that video gets like 2 million views on YouTube, kind of thing.
Yeah. What I had heard you do is you set up the Facebook instant articles with advertising, and then post your videos and things as instant articles.
Got you. Because
that's what I was looking into.
Because Ethan from H3H3, he was saying, he's like, yeah, I've been trying to get into it, and he's like, I can't seem to get a hold of the right people or anything.
They of all people, they should be able to get into it. So that's
exactly. I'm like, you're one of the hot topics of YouTube right now.
Oh yeah,
like, they're one of the.
Facebook's trying to compete with YouTube, taking him away from YouTube would be the first thing they'd want to do.
Exactly.
Right.
It doesn't. I will also. They were talking about how Joey Salads is a lot different. It's a different form of content than what H3 does. H3 does longer form content and whatnot, and with Joey Salads, like he can make a 12-minute video, but he could also make a 1.5-minute video off of that content. because it's prank videos. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's clip
You
by
just
clip kind
different
of thing.
cuts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, but with H3, it's like it's an elongated meme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Long form memes. That's what
Long form
that's what they
I haven't heard
make.
it described that way before. That's pretty funny.
So
But yeah, Oh, what were you gonna say? No, continue,
I was
continue.
just gonna say. So I mean, I think this has been extremely interesting. Is there anything else for us to really talk about, or?
I mean,
No, I think that's pretty good. We're going on almost 2 hours on my recording, and I'm sure the
Oh.
stream is about an hour or so.
Jesus. Good night.
So
Let me say,
I was just gonna say there's nothing else to talk about. We should probably go ahead and let you get off, Leonard, because I know you're very busy. You got a lot of stuff going on. You got a lot of stuff
Very
to
busy
catch
to
up.
get to my relaxing Sunday afternoon. Yes.
and then we stole that from you.
Oh no,
actually,
this is where I want to be. I would have said no if I didn't want to be here.
also, real quick question: what do you use for your RGB lighting on your shelves?
Those are WS 2811, 2812, individually adjustable LED strips. You can buy them from Adafruit or from Alibaba or Banggood or a number of other websites in different formats, and so those are just like the stick-on strip. And then I use an Arduino-based Teensy microcontroller, the Teensy LC.
Okay.
With there's some other parts that Paul Stoffridgen, who makes the Teensy, he makes other things, and there's an adapter and a power supply and all that, and you can program them individually.
I say we might have to have you on here to talk about tech one day.
And if you want to, I'll send you a link. I just finished a coffee table, which is lit from the underneath. The countertop is lit by the same kind of LEDs.
Oh hell yeah, that sounds sick.
They've got an LED strip for $21 as well.
I've been wanting to figure out a way to make my guitar rig have more pizzazz, and I thought about using some like RGB LED strips, and I was trying to figure out which ones would probably work best and whatnot. Trying to figure that out, and also make my computer setup a little more swanky, just a little bit.
Oh, sorry. I will.
I have to say, Nightbot timed you out. Why?
Because
I tried to post a link. Apparently, I'm not allowed to post a link.
Darn it, Nightbot. Let our guest do what he wants.
Oh, thank you, Stream.
He does what he wants.
Yeah, what was interesting, you didn't block YouTube earlier, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, it didn't, and that was like really early on
link,
too.
So I guess it's whatever. But anyways, if you guys do not know Leonard French's channel,
thank you.
There he is a couple of times. But yeah, no, we really appreciate you coming on, Leonard. I'm glad we were able to have you on, and I look forward to hopefully getting you back on in the future when the inevitable legal issue.
The next things happen.
Exactly.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, and we'd love to have you on sometime. Maybe talk about some stuff you do in your videos as well. If you wanted to get on and talk about some of those after you post the videos.
Play some games with us. Hell,
games.
Definitely.
Just say you got our Discord. Why not?
PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and I'm getting into the new BattleTech beta. So you ever want to do squads in PUBG?
Dude, if you want to get on PUBG, we'll play PUBG.
I can't speak. Let's definitely do some PUBG. We play that way too much here.
Oh, awesome. Great.
I've only owned it for like 3 weeks, and I've got like 100 hours in it now. So it's
well, anytime, including this afternoon after this, if you want to, just let me know on the Discord.
Definitely will.
Actually, if you're feeling it right now, like I'm down to noon on the stream, but like I'm
give me like 5 minutes to grab a drink and let the dogs out, and I'll be right back.
All right, cool. Sounds good.
Sounds good to me.
All right, guys. Thanks, and I'll see you offline or off stream, online off stream.
Online off stream.
But anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in to the Factually Opinionated Podcast, episode something 4 or 3, I don't know, of the stream version. It doesn't matter.
It's a number.
But again, thank you, special guest Leonard French. We will hopefully see you on in the future. I'm Nolan Nova.
And I'm Temper Tamber.
And I'm Leonard French.
And good evening or afternoon, and have a good one.
Signing off.
Sunday.
It's day. It's week thing.